Welcome to the Caramel Apples Podcast, a podcast that celebrates all things 70s and 80s pop culture and explores how this fond nostalgia affects our lives. Each week, we travel back in time to embark on the Nexus to revisit retro segments that ingrained itself into our culture and our hearts. Now, here's your host, Kennedy Rizzo and Cooper Lee.
Hello, Orchard Archivers. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of the Caramel Apples Podcast. I'm Kennedy Rizzo.
And I'm Cooper Lee.
And this week we have quite the treat for you. We're going to engage in a fascinating discussion about the Hollywood legend and icon, Steven Spielberg. Are you ready? Let's go. Steven Spielberg is one of the most influential personas in the realm and history of cinema. He is one of Hollywood's best-known directors with a signature style that's easily detected. He's also one of the wealthiest filmmakers in the world. He has a massive number of commercially successful and critically acclaimed credits to his name as either writer, director, or producer since launching the summer blockbuster Into the Sphere with Jaws in 1975.
One of our favorite movies of all time.
Of all time.
Major. So Jaws is actually one of the retro movies we'll be reviewing and revisiting in a future episode.
Yep.
And not only Jaws, but a number of his other masterpieces as well. So stay tuned for that. Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. That's right. And we're so looking forward to presenting those episodes. So let's get into this fascinating discussion, shall we?
Let's.
Okay. Steven Spielberg is one of the, if not the biggest, Hollywood icons ever. But did you know he's physically only 5'7" 3/4" tall?
Ah.
Yeah. So the reason why this is fascinating is because both Cooper and myself are vertically challenged apples.
Oh, goodness.
So we totally get the whole adding fractions at the end of your height because every little bit counts, every little bit helps. So Mr. Spielberg says he's 5'7" feet tall and 3/4". We'll let him keep his fraction. We're totally fine with that.
Oh boy, we're fine for that. But Kennedy,
Yeah.
They could have listened to us forever and never known that we were shorties.
Oh, that's, yeah, right.
Oh, now they know our secrets.
Just call me Eager Beaver. Oh my. That'll just keep us humble. We'll just go with it.
Okay.
Okay, so I found that and other amazing facts about him during some research. Another fact that blew my mind is that he was born on December 18th, 1946 in Cincinnati, Ohio. I don't know. I guess I just lazily assumed he was from the East Coast.
That's interesting. But do you think that may have been due to the fact that Jaws was filmed up around Cape Cod or something?
Yeah, maybe. But he's really proven to have displayed a vast array of life experience and vision, and as we obviously have seen played out time and time again via the big screen, we're so grateful for this vision.
Yes, we are. I mean, there are a number of talented and renowned directors and producers, many of whom we can name right off the top of our head, cold turkey. Let's see who comes to mind. Peter Jackson, Martin Scorsese, Quentin Tarantino, Ridley Scott. Oh, and the late Tony Scott, his brother.
Yeah.
But usually the first director to pop into my head is Mr. Spielberg. That's my go-to.
Me too. I think of him first and foremost as well. He's had a nice, long, impressive list of notable works he's brought to our attention over the years. He actually got into film very early on in his career, as early as 1957, working on the series Wagon Train as an uncredited assistant editor.
Wow.
But one of his early entries that is near and dear to us is his 1971 Movie of the Week classic, Duel.
Duel! That is a wonderful, suspenseful psych thriller.
Oh, you said it.
You know, many of the Movie of the Week films had that unusual, edgy trademark about them.
Yep.
Our mom is the one who introduced us to this movie. And Duel was about a business commuter who was pursued and terrorized by a malevolent driver of a massive semi-tractor trailer. And this edge of your seat type of plot seemingly grew legs and made its way into the early 2000s in a little movie called Joyride. So, quick question to you, Kennedy, and to our listeners. Does anyone know if this more modern film is a loose remake of Duel? Weigh in if you have the goods on that.
Yes, Joyride was a great movie with a lot of similarities to the film Duel. Loved it. But Duel is one of the best old-time movies. You know, the picture is a bit fuzzy, and they used flat generic colors as they filmed it, and they added a touch of comedic goofiness. But really, the overall story is hugely entertaining, nail-biting, what's going to happen next type of action.
Yeah.
It's basically Jaws on the open road, which we'll get more into this and the components of this movie in a future review.
And so can't wait for that.
Oh, yeah.
But like you stated, Duel was one of the first ultra memorable introductions to a long list of Steven Spielberg cinematic works.
Yes.
You know, another notable memory is the 3 to 5 second logo for his production company that was inspired by another awesome masterpiece from him, the beloved E.T. from 1982. That company was named Amblin Entertainment.
So here, within the first few minutes of our show today, we've already referenced Jaws.
Check.
Duel.
Check.
And E.T.
Check.
So those are some good choices, but what are some of your other favorite picks worth mentioning there, Coop?
Well, let's see. You know, I'm super partial to the Indiana Jones trilogy.
Oh, yeah.
And proudly own them on DVD. Now, I really think that Spielberg certainly hit gold with Raiders.
Oh, yeah, definitely. and like so many other films we became familiar with as we were coming of age, we caught the sequel before the original.
Once again.
So we saw Temple of Doom first, but it was so good and fascinating that it opened up both the desire and mission to see the other movies, which did not disappoint.
Oh, you can say that again. That is so true, which is why I'm such an avid fan. Now, there's also Close Encounters of the Third Kind from 1977, Gremlins from 84, The Goonies, Back to the Future, and The Color Purple, all in 1985.
Yep.
That was a busy year.
And a good one at that.
Right. But one near and dear to our hearts was An American Tail in 1986.
Oh my goodness, that was such an awesome movie.
Yeah.
But you know, it's an emotional, sad one for me.
Yeah.
So much so that I've captured and cherished the memories collected while watching An American Tail. Not to go totally emo about it. I actually cannot watch it to this day because it's so very sad for me.
Yeah.
I don't know. I was sad for that poor baby Fievel.
Oh, did this movie strike a nerve or five?
Yes, it did. But not in a bad way. You know, I've just tucked this animated treasure deep into a safe in my heart. I've got other movies I've done that with too, most of which contained animals. I've got a soft spot for sweet animal portrayals, and you just feel so sorry for them.
Yeah.
Especially if their story is one of significant struggle. Kind of makes you want to cry.
Oh, this is very touching, Kennard.
Shush!
I concur with those sentiments on how touching those stories can be.
Okay.
I wasn't making fun.
Oh, no, I don't know about that.
But it also shows the huge impact great storytelling can have on an audience. Mm-hmm. And this was a gift Steven Spielberg had on his audiences with a far-reaching effects over the years.
So true. Spielberg's momentum didn't stop in the 80s. More of his projects again appeared at the center of pop culture with cool hits like 2 more Back to the Future installments, which contained one of my 80s husbands, Michael J. Fox.
Oh my goodness.
And then we have another sad one from 1988, which was The Land Before Time. The 1994 live-action version of The Flintstones, where he was cleverly credited as Steven Spielberg. Details. And then we got 1988's Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which actually stood out as a landmark animation live-action film. So another unusual comedy thriller in 1990 was Arachnophobia.
Oh. How did that even make the list? Oh my goodness.
Good movie.
You had to put that one in there, didn't you?
Yes.
Thriller, yes, but I see nothing comedic about it. That mess can really happen. Ooh.
Yes, much to Cooper's chagrin. Spiders and Coop don't get along very well.
No, we really don't. We have a very rocky relationship.
Very rocky. So moving on from that, though, what is interesting is that he produced and directed a stirring film about the Holocaust in 1993's Schindler's List, for which he won Best Director and Best Picture at the Oscars that same year. Also in the mid-90s, he helped found the very familiar production company DreamWorks, which was at the helm of numerous box office successes.
That's interesting. And it's these and many other elements discussed that help highlight how Spielberg got to be the powerhouse that he is today. Hey, Kennedy.
Yeah.
Did we even mention Jurassic Park?
Oh my goodness, no we didn't. How on earth did we miss that?
I don't know.
That's right up there with Jaws and E.T. Shame on us.
Shame.
For shame. So the 1993 classic is a perfect entry to pop in and enjoy cool down time under a warm fuzzy blanket, especially on inclement weather weekends, which we've been seeing a lot of here lately, or on family vacations. Yes,
absolutely. I can hear the music playing loud in my head right now.
I can hear it too.
Hey, get out of my head. Another retro movie we'll be reviewing on our podcast real soon. Is that thunder?
I don't know. Is that thunder? Well, another interesting fact is that our listeners may or may not be aware of is in the second installment, The Temple of Doom. Mm-hmm. That film contained his now current wife, Kate Capshaw, and that they have quite a few children together. I think 5 or 6 kids, I believe.
That's a lot of kids.
That's a lot and too many kids. Oops, did I say that out loud? It's really nice to hear of a Hollywood couple still together and going strong.
It really is, because it's sadly just so rare. Mm-hmm. Another thing I appreciate about his work is some of the notable actors he's cast and worked with within his films. Famous names that come to my mind are Richard Dreyfuss, Harrison Ford, and Tom Hanks.
Ah.
Think of how many childhood stars came out of the Goonies. He also frequently cast British actors, for which we are eternally grateful because of Quint from Jaws.
Yeah, we can't forget Quint.
No, we can't forget Quint. He's like poetry in motion.
In a rough sort of way. That's some rough poetry.
Paper dolls.
Yeah, that is cool. Another signature of Spielberg's movies were the music contained therein.
Mm-hmm.
You think of the cinematic orchestral masterpieces that drew us in musically just as much as the visuals caught our eyes. Many of the aforementioned classics were musically composed by John Williams. His scores were nothing short of amazing adventures for our ears.
You so said it, Kennedy. There's just songs that you absolutely recognize in a heartbeat. Like within the first couple notes, you're like, I know that song. And Jaws, it has an epic score. E.T. and everyone knows Indiana Jones theme song.
Oh, yeah.
And Jurassic Park. Back to the Future also did too. I believe it showcased the timely and very 80s talent of Huey Lewis and the News.
It did.
And that's one of my hubby's favorite 80s bands.
Oh.
Yeah, he really likes them. I believe that Huey also had a cameo in Back to the Future as well.
He actually did, because it was the part where they were doing some kind of talent show tryouts in their local high school gym.
Uh-huh.
I think he was one of the judges. That's crazy.
That's cool too.
So it's all these collective elements together that create the masterpieces that ignite our fond memories that we so cherish. Mm-hmm. You got the chemistry of the characters therein, genius producing and directing to allow that desired vision to reach us, the audience, and then the heart-melting adventure type musical scores. Mm-hmm. All that easily packaged into any given retro gem or creative work of this multi-talented icon.
Wrapped up in a nice little bow.
Nothing but the best.
Oh, yeah. So, for our listeners, do you all remember a short-lived anthology series called Amazing Stories? I know, right? It was a half-hour show that ran from 1985 to 87 that had the tagline, "As one experience ends, another adventure begins."
Oh my goodness, I do remember Amazing Stories.
Now that I got the lines right.
See, that's why it's so much fun to go back in time and examine extraordinary pop culture memories from the recent past. Mm-hmm. This example and many other of his creative works had a uniting effect. Just about everyone we knew loved this classic entertainment. You'd get together with your friends, and it was always something really positive and fun to get together and talk about it.
Yeah, it sure was. And it seemed like when we talked about any of these amazing retro archives, everyone got involved in the conversations. And then when reminiscing, it's usually in a very positive way.
Yes.
I guess this is why in January of 2003, he received a star on a Hollywood Walk of Fame.
2003?
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. As talented as he was in churning out hit after hit pretty much each year going, I don't know. That seems pretty late in the game for that honor.
Yeah.
I don't know, but it's not surprising he received one, though. That Walk of Fame is fascinating. And he actually received it one of the very years we went out there for a short jaunt.
Yeah, 2003. That was a good time, too. Getting to visit LA, Hollywood at the time where it felt, still felt like Hollywood. And mm-hmm. that very important things and projects were going on.
Yeah.
Being there felt euphoric and surreal. now everything's changed. It's free for all regarding the various avenues of entertainment. Everything just feels so watered down nowadays.
Yes, it does. And it's quite unfortunate, but it is what it is, right, Coop?
Yeah.
That's why it's nice to have had experienced and captured the fond memories of yesteryear while we could.
Yeah. And it's our sincere hope that you, our listeners, feel the warm tinge of nostalgia as well as we cover the vast number of entries just as much as we enjoy taking you on that tour in our orchard. Okay, a couple of other fun facts before we wrap this up. One, it is said that Spielberg struggled with dyslexia all his life and was properly diagnosed in or around 2007. Also, the friend group and their personalities in the Goonies were inspired by his personal childhood friend group he so affectionately calls the Goon Squad.
You gotta be kidding. That's cute, the Goon Squad.
Yeah, I gotta love that.
I know.
It's okay. So, one last trivia question for our listeners. Has anyone heard any rumors to the possibility of a sequel to E.T.? And if so, what the title and the possible story plot to it is? Again, please weigh in. We'd love to hear from you.
Yeah, that would be neat to find those kind of things out.
Mm-hmm.
So after today's discussion of all the many works we were able to travel back in time to peer into, even though it was a brief look, it is of no doubt that Steven Spielberg is definitely one of the old school Hollywood greats. Through his many creative gems and his obvious passion for all things related to film, it is undeniable that he has done his due diligence in helping create fond memories for all of us fans to be able to enjoy at our leisure, not only now, but for many years yet to come.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Mr. Spielberg. You definitely are one of the greats. And that's a caramel apple wrap. So that's it for this week's episode. But next time, we'll be talking about the retro TV series Chips. So stay tuned. You won't want to miss this. Thanks so much for listening to this podcast. We so appreciate your support. Subscribe to make sure you don't miss a beat and be ready to revisit more memorable, fun archives and better times. Same time, same place in the Retro Orchard. You just experienced the Caramel Apples podcast, where the topic is rarely about apples. Bye.